Make America Great Again. Very offensive to so many people, and so many people will assume that it means, let's return to Jim Crow or that sort of thing, and it has to do with racial issues, or it has racial undertones. The problem with that is, you could be correct, you could be right, but the problem with that is that's an assumption. That's not based off of what the man is actually doing. Now, the thing is, make America great again can mean all kind of stuff, depending on your own personal biases about the person saying it, against your own personal biases of what the country used to be compared to what it is now. Like, you can't assume that just because you take something a certain way, that's the way the person actually meant it. Now, in terms of Trump, at this point, it should be very easy to know what he meant when he said make America great again. All you got to do is look at his policies. So when people, when I talk to people about Trump and they talk about him being racist, I say, what racist policies has he implemented? And they'll say, well, he said this about immigrants, which usually he said it about illegal immigrants, but they, the mainstream media has got people looking at immigrants and illegal immigrants as being the same, and they're not. He says this about them. He says this about Muslims, and which he didn't. He said that about certain Muslim countries. So whether you like his statement or not, at least deal with it honestly. Again, it's the mainstream media. He had a Muslim ban. No, he put a ban or restriction on people from certain areas, literally the same areas that was highlighted under Obama's administration. So that's a whole nother story. But anyway, all of Trump's policies, what have they been based on? They've been just about all of them have been geared around business. Just about all of them. Think about, if you even know, most people don't even know what his policies are. All you know is Obama had certain policies and Trump is rolling them back. And then so you look at that and you think, oh, well, he must hate Obama. He must be trying to, it's a personal thing. Yeah, let me tell you something. Obama and Trump have completely different ideologies. Obama was a social justice warrior. Trump is a businessman. Obama's policies was about being a social justice warrior. So that's what he advocated for. Trump is advocating for business. So business, and you could say like more freedom from government. So the areas that pertain to business, that Obama passed regulations that interfere with the freedom of the business, Trump is rolling them back. And then some of the stuff involving the environment, like some of the initiatives, like laws that Obama passed pertaining to protecting certain parts of the environment, Trump is rolling them back. It's like, this is an infringement on business. So whether you like it or hate it, that's what it's all about. It's not about slavery or Jim Crow or white supremacy or nothing. Like, you can say that, but look at what he's doing. What is he doing that is designed to promote or sustain white supremacy and oppress black people? It has nothing to do with that. Like his tax cut, for example, business owners benefit from it, whether you're black or white or whatever. It's not like a whites only thing. Every business owner benefits from it. So, you know what I mean? Like, this is why I say having the race first mentality makes you stupid. It makes you, when you think that way, you are forced to ignore so much information and so much of reality that, proves you wrong. It's like you have to, when you have that race first mentality that everything's about race, you have to impose that onto other people so that you can't even look at another individual and what they do objectively. You're unable to, because you've already assumed racism on their part. Now, Donald Trump can be racist. He can be racist. It's possible. But what matters is policy, whether he's racist or not. See, and the other thing is, y'all act like if a person is racist, or if they have, if they're a bigot, let's say, that they're going to go out and then just, when you think of a racist person, you think of a Klansman. You think of an activist racist person. But you know people that are racist. There are people probably in your job that are racist and that treat you perfectly normal. There are people that you know that are black or Asian or Jewish or whatever that are racist, but you don't want to call them that, but they're racist. And they say all kind of racist things, and you and your friends probably say all kind of racist things in private. But then when you go on the job, you treat people with respect or whatever. Like, there's always a spectrum. There's always a spectrum. Not everyone who has bad thoughts about people or have bad views about people automatically treat them bad. Like, not every person. There are people that are like really into fitness and they really can't stand fat people. They get disgusted by fat people. Does that mean that they automatically fat shame them and go and harass them because they're fat? That don't mean that at all. In fact, some of them go out of their way to train fat people because they're like, this is disgusting and you need help. So the whole point is not to say that hate is okay or anything like that. But the whole point is you have to start looking at what people do. You have to start looking at the policies that they push. And I feel like that's what you do as politicians. Like, with politicians, you can't just look at, okay, this is the kind of person this person is. Because you can be a great person, but be a terrible politician. Just because you have good intentions don't mean your policies are going to be automatically good for people. Likewise, you can be a bad person and be a great politician. Because you have great ideas. You can be a horrible person, but your ideas are great for everybody. You know, in private, you're a jerk, and people can't stand you. But overall, the things that you do actually make people's lives better. Like, that's just how it is. So you can't look at, oh, this is a bad person. I think this is a bad person. So everything he tries to approve or everything he promotes must be bad. You know, that's called a genetic fallacy. It's like, well, if it came from this person, it must be automatically bad without considering what those things actually are. Now, like I said, if you think about the Iran deal, if you think about the TPP, if you think about the Paris Climate Accord, you think like all of this stuff has to do with business, environment, but also business. Because what it is because of environment. Obama said, because of environment, I'm going to restrict your business in this way and that one. And then Trump is saying, no. Because of business, I'm rolling this back. So, not saying that you have to agree with it, but if you just look at what he's doing, Make America Great Again is a business statement. It's a business statement. And, okay, there's other things out there, too, because of his views about cultures and things like that. So there is an aspect of it that's about just in general American culture. And again, this is where your bias comes in. If you when I say I'm fond of American culture, I can mean one thing particularly, and 10 different people can assume 10 different things. Oh, he means slavery. Oh, he means, we got free porn. Or, oh, this guy means that, he likes public school. Who knows? Who knows what people may assume? But all that matters is what I actually meant when I said it. And the way you find it out is you ask me. And you look at what I do in my free time to see what I enjoy about American culture. That's how you determine. You don't just, okay, when he said this is what I think of when I hear those words. Therefore, that's exactly what he means. And he's a scumbag. Like, you have to be aware of when you're making assumptions and not holding to truth, but that you're actually going off assumptions. It's so dangerous. Like, we do that so much, but assumptions are like one of our biggest enemies. I'm not saying that you have to like people, not saying that you don't question people, but that's something you have to really think about. Like, how many of y'all, like, people get mad about stuff that Trump rolled back that Obama did, and they don't even know what those things are. Like, how many people know what the TPP is? You may know what it's, Trans-Pacific Partnership. Do you know what that is? Do you know what it is? You get mad that he rolled it back. Do you know what it is? Or are you thinking that, oh, because Obama did it and Trump hates it, that it's automatically good? You know what I mean? The other thing is, you have the whole thing of Republican versus Democrat. They have entirely different philosophies. And both parties, and then you have independents too. So both parties have good people in them with good intentions, and bad people with good intentions, or bad people with bad intentions. Both parties have good people and bad people in them. They have different philosophies on how to fix this country. So they're going to approach it different ways. Just because someone has a different way of going about getting there doesn't automatically mean that they're a bad person, whether Democrat or Republican. And I have to admit, sometimes I get caught up in that too. It's like, well, this is how I understand what they're trying to do, so that automatically makes them have bad motives. And that's not always the case. It's a difference in philosophy. So, you know, like gun control. Like, again, people look at Democrats and they say they want to take all of our guns. Now, some Democrats do want to take all your guns. They've actually come out and said it publicly. Other Democrats just want our kids to be safe. Likewise, Democrats can look at Republicans and say, oh, you just want to be an idiot with a tank in your yard and walk around with a bazooka on your shoulder. Well, there are some people who are like that. They don't care about the amendment. They don't care about, they just like guns, and they're obsessed with, there are people that are like that. But then there are also people who understand why the Constitution says what it says, and they understand the implications of attacking that right. Or they have a particular interpretation of what they believe the Constitution means, and they genuinely just want to have that right. Everybody's different. And it's just so easy for all of us, myself included, to just lump everyone together. But my whole point is, policies, when people put forth policies, just because it's a bad policy or a good policy, doesn't automatically mean that they're a good person with good intentions or a bad person with bad intentions. It's the policy itself. That's why you got to take feelings out of it. That's why I say people say facts over feelings. Like, you got to take your feelings out of how you view the person and just look at the policy. And you respond to the policy, is whether this is good for the people or bad for the people. And you just deal with that. All of this extra, you know, oh, Trump's just trying to do this, or Obama's just trying to do this, or whoever. You may be right, but it doesn't mean anything. People can think what they want, and you can think what you want. It won't change anything. All that matters at the end of the day is the policies and how they affect people. So many things in government have gone wrong because people had good intentions but bad policies. So you can't just, like, laws aren't good just because it started off with a good intention. So that's the flip side of it. People aren't automatically good or bad because of a policy, and the policy isn't automatically good or bad because of the person who presented it. You know, there are racist people who advocated for civil rights. You know, there are good people who feel strongly about certain things, who will oppose certain laws, not because they don't agree with the law, but because of other implications that it could have either down the line or the way it will affect other things. So, like, let me give you an example. There's one thing I learned recently. There was a bill that was introduced to ban abortions after like 20 weeks. And the argument was, scientifically, it's been proven, supposedly, it's been proven that babies can feel pain after 20 weeks. Therefore, when you abort them, which if you don't know how abortions are done, basically early on in the pregnancy, I'm not going to talk about it. Look up how abortions are done, and you'll see how horrible it is. I don't even talk about that. But basically, they said, well, I'm against abortion, but this law will infringe upon this right of a person and that right of a person, or whatever, some other laws that were in place or whatever. It's like, this will infringe on those, so I can't support this bill. I reject it. Now, make some changes to it. Maybe I'll prove it, but I'm going to reject it. So that's just one example. And then another one is, you had Republicans that felt strongly about the Trump tax plan or whatever, but earlier on they rejected it. They're like, I understand what you're trying to do, and overall this is pretty good, but there are certain things in here that I have a problem with. so I'm going to reject it. So it's like there's just so much more to politics than, oh, that guy's just a racist, or oh, that guy just loves gays, or any kind of the weird stuff that the extreme views that people tend to have. There's just so much more that goes on to it. Now, make America great again. Just because you may take it a certain way, good or bad, doesn't mean that that's what the person actually meant. And when you look at Trump's policies, what he's actually writing in the law and trying to write in the law, it all has to do with freeing up businesses and removing government, or restricting government law. Now, I'm starting to think you can't understand Trump unless you understand Obama and what Obama did. And what I mean by that is Obama created a whole bunch of regulations. He extended the power of the government to give them more control for what he believed to be good reasons, like social justice or protecting the environment. But his way of doing it was actually adding to the government. So people who have a problem with big government are going to be against those things. That doesn't mean one's automatically right and one's automatically wrong. It's just it doesn't mean that one's a good person, one's a bad person. It's just a simple, totally different philosophy. It's a clash of philosophies. So when you look at Obama's rolling back, Trump's rolling back everything that Obama ever did, he's trying to destroy his legacy. Well, his legacy may be destroyed by the nature of what Trump's doing. That doesn't automatically mean that's what he's trying to do. You have to look at all of the things that he's rolling back and see that they all have to do with business. Furthermore, some of the things that y'all get mad about, like, Obama was for this and he's against it, therefore he's just trying to be personal. Some of that stuff are things that, one, other Democrats said that they would repeal themselves, like the TPP. Bernie Sanders and Hillary both said the TPP sucks, and if I'm president, I'm going to get rid of it. So let's say Trump was trying to attack just Obama. If he removes a policy that even other Democrats thinks is bad, does it matter that he was trying to just attack Obama? It doesn't. It was a bad policy, and other people thought so. So that's why I say you got to get the feelings out of it. The feelings don't matter. Then other things that Trump have done away with are things that Republicans have opposed for a long time. And then there are things that Democrats have opposed for a long time, but now that it's politically convenient, they act like they weren't. Like, for example, in 2006, Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, Joe Biden, Chuck Schumer, all of the people who call Trump a racist and all of these things for his immigration policy, they all voted for adding a fence to the border. A lot of people don't know we already have a fence. We already have a wall. They voted for that. And I can show you footage of Hillary Clinton. I can show you footage of Barack Obama. I can show you footage of Chuck Schumer. Look on my YouTube page. It's called Democrats Refuting Democrats. And there's two different things going on. Basically what I do is I show you and the reason why I do this is Democrats will demonize Republicans for having certain positions when they either had the same positions themselves or other prominent Democrats who are respected used to have those same positions. So the reason why that's important is either they're intentionally being deceptive by demonizing a particular issue which they know should not be for political gain, or they are admitting that they themselves used to be just as racist or bigoted or whatever as the people that they're running against. Abortion, gay rights, immigration, all of these things, like the Democrats they use the same people that y'all look at as so progressive and they're so kind-hearted and all this stuff. They literally would, in public, on tape, on video I should say, would say the same exact things that these Republicans are saying. And they act like they never did. That's a problem. But my point is, a lot of the stuff, you're like, oh, he's just trying to attack Obama. But it could be something that For 10 years now, the Republicans have been trying to change before Obama even came. Or it could be, hey, 8 years ago, this is the same thing Hillary Clinton was trying to do. Or some of the stuff the tax cut for the companies, the corporate tax cut. Do you know that Obama tried to do the same tax cut as Trump? Not as severe. I think Trump might have first suggested it down to like in the teens, something like that. Obama wanted to lower it from 32% to 25%. I think Trump lowered it to like 22 or something like that. But he says on tape, that sounds funny, I'm gonna keep saying it. He says on tape, Obama says on tape, I'm trying to lower the corporate tax to stimulate the economy. This is Obama. So super social justice warrior and everything. Now, this doesn't mean that was a good idea. What I'm saying is, my whole point is, the idea that because Trump did this, he's automatically evil. Well, here's a guy that you said was a pretty decent guy who actually wanted to do the same thing. So stop demonizing the issue. You're frauding. This is the politicians I'm talking about. You're frauding. You're going to demonize this when your guy was saying the same thing. But because the public doesn't know it, you can tell them that and they'll believe it. That's just manipulation. That's just the things that bother me the most about the whole, really like Democrats, like the Democratic leadership, I should say. That's what bothers me the most, is that they will attack Republicans for things that they themselves used to agree on, or that they've done. It's the same thing. Like, how can you attack Trump for his stance on the border wall, Hillary Clinton, when you literally said, well, there has to be consequences for people who cross our border illegally. If we just let them stay, then that will encourage more people. At least she literally said this. And then when I share it on my timeline, people just ignore it. Either they don't watch it or they watch it and they act like they never saw it. Like, I'm not saying you got to hate Hillary Clinton, but you got to be open and honest. Like, you can't, and this is the same thing when it goes to race and everything else. You can't say, this is a serious issue in this country. We have a crisis on X, Y, and Z. You need to come here and be honest and become clean about this issue and what you need to do to fix it. And you say that to people, and then they say, okay, well, fine, well, okay, I need you to be honest about X, Y, and Z too, and then we can talk, because I have issues with you as well. And then you say, I ain't did nothing. I ain't got nothing I need to change. But you wonder why there's no kind of real conversation. You can't do that to people. You can't disrespect people and insult them like that. And this is what happens with politics all the time, whether it's race, mainly race now, it's just like race, but just policies in general. You'll have one side saying the other side needs to change. And then that other side says, okay, well, you want me to change? Well, let's come together. Let's open up your closet. Let's look what's in your closet. So you want to talk about my past? Let's talk about your past. And then the other one's like, but that's the past. You can be like, what? That doesn't make any sense. You asked me to do something that you're not willing to do. And you cannot do that. That when you talk about police brutality, when you talk about the prison system, you can't only talk about the system and not talk about the people who get involved with the system. It's just, you can't. You're not helping the cause in any situation, whatever the cause is. You're not helping the cause by misrepresenting it, because those who see that you're misrepresenting it, who otherwise they may even feel strongly about changing it as much as you do, but because you're misrepresenting it, you're pushing them away. Somebody that could potentially be an ally, or at the very least, just someone who won't oppose you. But you push them away, and then you wonder why. Oh well, everyone who doesn't support me, it must be because they're bad people. No, it's because you're not being honest about what you're facing, and you're heading for trouble. So just to wrap it up, the whole MAGA, the whole Make America Great Again, from the context of Trump's actual actions, it's a business thing.